Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast from Born Without Boundaries Tarot here on Astrology Motivation. That's right, guys. I have two YouTube channels. Welcome to Astrology Motivation, where we go over astrology and focus primarily on astrology, both weekly and daily. This is your weekly astrology forecast. So I'll take the overall planetary movements, the aspects, as well as the transits, and we'll analyze them and figure out how they're going to impact this week. Usually it's from Sunday to Saturday. Right now it's from Monday to Sunday because I took Christmas off. I hope all of you had a wonderful Christmas holiday. This is a pretty tense week. I just want to jump right into it, but remind you that I also do daily astrology here as well. I do a daily astrology forecast as well as general tarot card reading that's live, and you can live chat with me while I do it. So I hope to see you guys there. Remember to subscribe for that. You have to be subscribed. This is a tense week. It feels like if things are not built strong this week, they will not last because there is a lot of tension. Two of the things that concern me the most are kind of small, but the agitation that they can cause is big. There's a semi-square in the beginning of the week between Saturn and the Sun, and Saturn is in Aquarius still, and the Sun is in Capricorn, which is interesting because the Sun is in the domicile of Saturn. Saturn is usually the ruler of Capricorn, and there's a semi-square between the two of them, which is usually contention between who rules who and who is the boss. Maybe it's a coming of age kind of situation, but it could also be butting heads with different kinds of restrictions, rules, laws, and regulations that are counter to what you desire and what you want and what you feel your life purpose is. Once again, kind of coming of age situation, but uncomfortable. But we still also have this very uncomfortable semi-square between Jupiter and Uranus. This is a tension here. This is a sense of not feeling like you're able to choose, like you're forced into change, or you have to change, or you have to make changes that you didn't want, and they're hitting you rapidly, and maybe you're growing too fast, or things are changing too quickly, which could make people react in a way that is kind of contrary. It's almost like, okay, then I'll go to my comfort zone. I'm going to rush to my comfort zone. When I feel things are being forced upon me, I'm going to rush to my comfort zone. And a lot of people who are not certain about themselves could decide to stay in the comfort zone as opposed to move forward. So this really is a week that will challenge how badly do you want it, right? If you really want it badly enough that there is no choice, that you're going to keep moving forward. Right, but this will weed out those who did it because it was easy and fun versus those who do it because they know this is what they desire and they really believe in it. Really, faith is the only thing that's going to get you through these irritations and these contentions. There's a lot of powerful energy in Capricorn as well. Of course, we have the Sun there. It's in the beginning degrees. It's actually headed toward the middle of Capricorn now, but even more important, because it is a concentration of energy, is that Venus for this week is going to be conjunct to Pluto. Mercury is going to be in a loose conjunction with the two of them as well. Come Saturday, Venus and Pluto are in perfect, they're both 27 degrees Capricorn. They're in perfect conjunction with each other. And Mercury's not that far off. We know that Venus and Mercury are really wonderful energies together. It gives a very dynamic impact and a feeling of confidence and attractiveness. But the thing is this, they're also being challenged by other things that are happening around them. And when that conjunction starts to include Pluto, they kind of can be just ruthless and completely determined and set in their own sense of superiority, what they desire. So it could create a lot of stubbornness, especially when it comes to relationships and how we communicate in relationships. And I can tell you this right now, this will be a game-changing week for relationships where there will be sort of a do or die tendency of, do I want this or do I not? And it could be that the ego gets so big and so strong that it chooses itself over the relationship, but in which case the relationship wasn't that strong to begin with. So just an FYI, because this is where we're going to see a big dynamic changes, or our finances, huge dynamic changes revolving around those two. Hold on a second. Mercury is in retrograde now. This is another thing that's going on. Mercury is in retrograde, and Mercury is going to be square to Mars, which is also in retrograde, and that's going to cause a lot of tension and trouble. Lots of old things that you did, things that you said are going to be coming up. People are going to be throwing that shit up, and they're going to be forcing you to discuss those things from the past. This is what you said, or this is what you did, or like there could be just a lot of accusations being thrown and people being really stubborn and harsh with their words and not wanting to listen to each other. Yeah, and once again, that energy always causes problems, right? It always causes big trouble. Issues with, I'm writing this down here, issues with things people have done or said or haven't done or haven't said. Choices that they make, kind of going back on choices that they've made, realizing, oh my God, I have to commit to this. Oh my God, it's almost like this is going to be the week that's going to weed out the weak from the strong, like who really wanted it and who didn't, because you'll start to feel the noose around your neck this week. Oh my God, did I really commit myself to this? Oh my God, am I really in this? Oh my God, I'm stuck in this. And that's going to make you feel like there's sort of a noose tightening around your throat, and you don't maybe want the obligation, and that's gonna show you, do you really want this or do you not, right? Do you really care about this or do you not? Because when the going gets tough, the tough get going. If you have conviction in what you're doing, and I know some of you are out there saying, well, there's an undertone of judgment there, or that it, in some way it's wrong to learn that something doesn't mean as much to you as you thought it did. No, it's right. This is a revelation. This tension is happening to you to make it clear to you what is really important to you and what isn't. Because so many of us stay in situations that are only okay and that we're not really psyched about. And, we find a lot of creature comforts like drinking or eating or escape with friends or whatever. We find a lot of those creature comforts to help supplement the happiness we're not feeling, the joy we're not experiencing. And I'm not talking about pleasure. Pleasure and happiness are two different things. But really, it's like compensating for happiness. And if we've been overcompensating for happiness, this week is going to reveal it to us, and it's going to show us the misery, and it's going to put it in our face, and it's going to push us into corners. It's going to back us into corners and say, oh, okay, you can't escape. Look at where you really got yourself. Those creature comforts aren't going to be as easy to access. Chiron is also square the sun. This is a huge challenge on pain and suffering, and how much pain can you take? How much suffering can you take, and is this even worth it? Those are the questions that we're going to be asking ourselves, situations that we're going to be put in, because going into the new year, the universe doesn't want you to continue on making mediocre mistakes or mediocre decisions. It wants you to see, is this worth it? Do you really want to continue on this path? Is this something that you believe in? Because if you don't fucking believe in it, you shouldn't be doing it. And I think that that's really what the universe is pressuring us to understand now, because so many of us live those settled for lives, those settled for situations. This doesn't have to be a game changer in everything you do, right? I would check Capricorn in your chart and see if Capricorn rules any specific house, because if it does, that's where most of these changes are going to be made. Traditionally, Capricorn rules the 10th house, but it may not be your 10th house. It could rule your first house. It could rule your third house. It just depends. You'll be able to see that if you run your natal chart. And I'm saying this because there's such an energy, dynamic changes and shifts happening, that any time a stellium occurs, all the energy is centered on that stage. And so it's important to see if Capricorn rules a specific house, which stage is set, right? What changes are going to happen. Let's see. Yeah, so I was going to give you some examples of say if you're an Aries rising, Capricorn. This is definitely all happening in your career or about your career or because of your career, because it will be Capricorn would be the 10th house. I'm a Libra rising, so Capricorn isn't a 10th house; it's my 4th house. it's the exact opposite of the 10th house. So see which house that Capricorn rules. And so for me, it would be dynamic family changes and family shifts that are occurring. Or now remember, that doesn't mean that Venus still rules money and finances and things that we value and things that we desire, and Mercury still rules the way that we communicate and the way that we exchange information or figure things out or think about things. And Mercury retrograde is everything has slowed down. Everything is falling back. It's almost like people are searching for their comfort zones because it's too much for them. But this is definitely going to, I keep seeing that river in Harry Potter that is under Gringotts that kind of washes away any spells or disguises. Like that's almost what we're going through now. Like as Venus and Mercury conjunct Pluto is calling them out on their shit. And it's washing away anybody who isn't really who they say they were or doesn't really want what they thought they wanted. It's very strict and it's very draconian because it's all happening in Capricorn that, is very draconian and says, oh, you say you want this? Well, then you got to want it all the way. It doesn't really let up. Right? It's a very unforgiving energy. And so a lot of people have been talking to me about, Michelle, why is there so much like negative energy in the air? Because there's a lot of malefic energy. Saturn is a malefic. And I don't think that necessarily means bad. I think it means that things are being subtracted. They're being taken away. There's not a lot of glamour. There's not a lot of flash. There's not a lot of superfluous stuff. It's all being trimmed the fuck down to the very basics. It's very stoic and draconian energy. And if you're not serious about things, you're not going to get it done. And it's going to undo you. It's going to call people out on their flim flam. It's going to call people out on their halfway committed. It's going to call people out on their it's not even necessarily people are lying. It's that some people, well, they're lying, but they're not necessarily doing it maliciously or kind of doing it because they think this is easier to want or they should want it, or they just haven't wanted to address it because it's attached to so many other things that would unravel too. We'll expect that unraveling to happen. Because Pluto is, if anything, the truth. It is the hard, primal, wild truth. And it's just not something that you're going to be able to avoid when Venus and Mercury are conjunct Pluto. This becomes very obsessive, very focused, very ruthless, but very powerful energy to get things done and make the change dynamically. Jupiter is, we have conjunct Capricorn. Hold on. There is something else that I wanted to say. Saturday, I marked Saturday, this coming Saturday, which is when there's a perfect conjunction between Pluto and Venus, and a pretty tight conjunction between Mercury and the two of them as well. But it's square to the moon, and the moon will be in Taurus. See, the moon in Taurus is in its comfort zone, and that's a problem, because when the moon hits Taurus and it's in its comfort zone and it's comfy and cozy, this is when our emotions get really comfy and cozy. And emotionally, we know exactly what we want, and that's going to be square to a lot of these worldly, but you said you wanted this, but you promised this. And that will be the day when I think a lot of things will unhappen. Huge change. And it will hurt, and it could shock some people, especially when it comes to relationships and the things that we have said to each other and what we did or didn't do. This could be the shocker that comes out and says, okay, something is done, something is over, or something has just started or begun that you didn't expect either. But with that square to the moon, it's not going to make us very comfortable, or it's going to bring all the discomforts to the surface, because now we know exactly what it is that we really want, right? And now we're all comfy and cozy. And remember that Taurus is also where Uranus still is. So things are shifting and changing. This could be dynamic changes to how we feel and where our comfort zone actually is. But anything square to the moon is that your emotions could be getting in the way of all this happening. But I got to tell you, that conjunction between Venus, Mercury, and Pluto is a hell of a lot stronger than the moon. So it's going to cause a lot of emotional turmoil, is what I'm saying. Expect Saturday to be a pretty rough day. It all happens for a reason. I can promise you guys that. And I think it's the more faith we have in what the universe is trying to say, and the more we allow it to guide us and lead us and push us in directions that are right for us, I think the better off we'll be. Like I said, the world doesn't have to be easy. And if you're really committed to something, none of this is going to faze you anyway. And I think that that's how you'll know that you really want it, is, no, I still want this. And I know it's irritating me, and there's all this other paperwork that I have to fill out, or things that I haven't done, but I still want it. And if you still want it, then it's yours already, because you'll never be put off course from it. And this will be so clear. I guarantee you that the obsessions or the weakness, passive aggressive, codependent, this shit will break down. It will not be tolerated in this climate or these contexts. But the real true commitment, the real true love of something or of somebody, there'll be certainty here. And whatever is forged in Capricorn season tends to last a long time and become a new set of rules, a new set of laws, a new set of regulations. So it'll be interesting to see how this impacts the global stage as well. You let me know in the comments below. I would love to know. Please do tell me how all of this is impacting your personal life. Maybe even leave the comments below which house Capricorn rules in your chart. You guys know I love to know. And I will see you in the daily tarot card readings and the weekly zodiac messages over on Born Without Boundaries Tarot. I hope you find them. I hope you love them. And I'll see you there. Bye, guys.